Hey dudes, GGG gave us a little Thanksgiving Day treat in the form of the Fate of the Vaal teaser trailer. We've written about it on PoE Vault, given some speculation about what we think we're going to see in the patch, and that's what this video is going to be about as well. So we do now know the name of the patch, Last of the Druids. That's the kind of permanent content that's going to be added to the game. This is the league that's going to accompany it, Fate of the Vaal. So because we know all this, we can kind of make some educated guesses and do some reckless speculation on top of that about what's going to be in the patch and the league, and then after that, we'll do some bingo board stuff because, you know, it's kind of that time of the patch content cycle. Anyways, let's go ahead and get right into it, but first be sure to like and subscribe. 2/3 of our viewers aren't subbed, so go ahead and do that as well. It helps more people see our content, which helps us keep doing this. Join our Discord as well, we've got a great community there. Okay, so taking a brief look at the trailer, which isn't very long. It's only like 15 seconds of actual stuff going on. We're able to see this mirror here, a bunch of Vaal architecture around the outside, and then of course Atziri in the middle, walking toward us, saying a little bit, and then we see the beast, you know, capital letters, the beast, extending its red tentacles out of the mirror. You could maybe take this in a couple of ways. Maybe this means that we're going to see Act 5 or 6 content in the coming patch. That sort of seems like something that would be in the patch level trailer though, right? So, don't really know. The fact that the beast is here though means we're probably going to get to see more of it in the end game through this mechanic, and maybe this is like a bit of content that they're kind of immediately planning to be core part of the base game, and so on. Kind of more on that when it comes to Abyss later on as well. So in terms of what this implies for the game though, it clearly indicates that Atziri's going to be in the game. There's no way she's not going to be a boss that we fight, right? We're probably going to see the transition of her being a human and going into the big giant demon that we know from PoE 1. Also, the mirror ripple effect on here is just very cool looking. Like, great job by the artists to make that ripple. It just looks really sweet. This is just a very, like, good-looking trailer, even though it is only, like, 15 seconds or whatever, and it's using in-game art assets. It's just, like, it really, really got the hype going for us. Alright, so because this is Fate of the Vaal, because it is Vaal-related stuff, we can pretty easily speculate that some sort of Vaal-related mechanic is going to be the league mechanic for Fate of the Vaal League. Obviously, I think most people are speculating it's going to be an updated version of Incursion, and that's a fun phrase to say. But also, Incursion is a really good mechanic in maps in PoE 1. It is something that seems like it would very easily translate to the style of content that's in PoE 2. Adding double corruption to the game is just straight up good. Adding guaranteed high value mods onto like blue bases in the temple could be insanely good. So there's really no reason it couldn't just be Incursion. That does kind of seem like the front runner. And of course, yeah, we know the dates, right? The reveal is December 4th. The release is December 12th. So we're less than a week away from probably patch notes, certainly the reveal, and then about 2 weeks away from the patch itself. So the only other real thing from PoE 1 that could maybe be like some sort of Vaal-related thing would be Vaal side areas, which are the worst mechanic in PoE 1 right now. It seems unlikely that they would try to carry forward anything like that into PoE 2, because that is a real dud of a mechanic as it currently exists. Alright, so with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the bingo board here, and we'll just start with the first thing here, right? The Deli Fog issue, which has become kind of the big rallying cry for the whole community on the PoE 2 Reddit, and there've been some, you know, great posts, great memes, whatever. This one really sums it up perfectly, right? Like, Deli is such a good farm mechanic, and it is not such a big problem in PoE 1 to not be able to see stuff, but with one portal mapping and the content being slower and more likely to one-shot you in PoE 2 than it is in PoE 1. You could argue about that, but clearly the inability to see stuff in PoE 2's version of mapping is horrible. So there've been a bunch of great posts. This one also pretty amazing. Good. This one though I did want to point out because actually the music was removed in patch 0.3.1, and hopefully it'll just be like the toggleable off the fog and the music. Hopefully that wasn't a bug. Hopefully that was intended. They never changed it, so it does seem like it's maybe intentional, but then it wasn't actually in PoE 1 this patch, so who really knows for sure. Bunch of great posts. This one has kind of stood out to us as being like the best one. Hypnotoad, great. Futurama, all-time great show. So This one was just really good. So that would be like the number one thing. If we could put that any like center of the bingo board or whatever, you know, that would be the number one thing we would ask for, but I wanted to start with it, the top left corner, to talk about it first. Okay, a couple more things just to hit on right here. That these are kind of hand in hand, but whatever. Deadeye has been one of the best ascendancies in the game the entire time the game's been out. Tailwind is the main reason why Deadeye is so incredibly good, and lightning damage builds have been the best builds in the game the entire time it's existed, whether it's Lightning Arrow or Spark or whatever other lightning skills exist. I'm blanking on any others, but like there are plenty of others. Falling Thunder, for example. There's just so much good lightning damage. Synergy, which is cool. Other stuff should probably come up to that level, but you can't buff 95% of the damage types. You should just nerf the one that's overperforming. On a similar note, Ranger and Huntress actually do both need to have their third ascendancies added. That's true for Monk and Sorceress as well. Technically speaking, there's only Witch, Mercenary, and Warrior all have 3 ascendancies, but like Ranger and Huntress especially need them because there's like such a level of dominance of Deadeye just completely dominating like any sort of Dex related ascendancy, so it'd be nice to have some more options, especially if Tailwind does get nerfed. There's going to have to be something to step in there, kind of pick up some slack. A new Ascendancy Trial would be great too, as well. People really hate the Trial of Chaos, including me. I'm one of those people. You know, that would certainly be nice to have a new one in. It's not clear whether we're going to get Act 5 and 6. You know, we don't know about that, but getting a new Ascendancy Trial would definitely help a lot. You know, just again, having an alternative to Chaos would be really good. Warriors and Maces probably need another buff, especially with Druid being added into the game and kind of running the risk of stealing a lot of their thunder, basically doing the same thing but better. Yeah, Warrior is just in a pretty unfortunate state because it was very fun to play it at the start of last league, and then swapping over to any other build, it was like, oh wow, I was playing slow garbage. I didn't realize this whole time. Armor, similarly, could really do for a big buff, and Ghost Dance sort of feels like it's going to be the next thing to get nerfed. Like, Energy Shield and Evasion combo is just way too strong when Ghost Dance is able to just recover all of your Energy Shield every time you get hit on some builds. Like, it's out of pocket. The Atlas passive tree is way too small. Like, this setup here is way too small. The idea of having the different league mechanics be separated out into their own options is interesting. It's something they've played around with. I kind of could go either way. I really wouldn't be upset if they just sort of collapsed this all down and made it into one giant tree, more like it is in PoE 1's Atlas passive tree setup. But whatever they do need to make some pretty big expansions on the Atlas tree and on the in-game in general. I think everybody's pretty much expecting that. Constricting Command has just been a totally dominant helmet. It's going to get nerfed, right? That's going to happen. Plus, skill gem levels probably also need to be nerfed. They are responsible for a lot of the mana problems in the current state of the game, so that really wouldn't be a bad thing if plus skill gem level caps were like, you know, possibilities were brought down considerably. That would have some positive benefits of making some other stats a little bit more interesting, a little bit more usable. Also, we're kind of speculating here, but like, we're just feeling optimistic about the amount of Druid shapeshifts and ascendancies that'll be available, like, from the start. Like, we're just going whole hog, right? They'll just have the whole class ready to go. They'll have at least 4 shapeshifts ready to go. We're just speculating, like, really good things for Druid, with them having been pretty close to having it ready to go and not actually quite getting it out in time for the last patch, that it'll be, like, very ahead of schedule for patch 0.4. Similarly, we're kind of thinking that even though Breach hasn't really been that beloved in the last patch of PoE 1, they're probably going to take some learnings, some lessons from that, and use it to kind of rework Breach quite a bit in PoE 2, and probably make it a lot more like the collapsing breaches, which are actually pretty successful. It's really the Ylith Hive defenses that aren't very good, and if Breach wound up a lot more like the collapsing breaches in PoE 1, that would actually be kind of not bad for PoE 2. Abyss seems almost certainly like it's going to go core. It's a really good mechanic. The only real issue with it is just, I guess there are 2, right? One, it's just very deadly in the campaign. Obviously, that's not going to be an issue. And then also, like, it does kind of nuke your GPU. Like, all fire effects kind of do that, and that's maybe more of an NVIDIA problem than a GTG problem, but, like, it would be nice if it was a little bit less resource intensive and a little less fiery but as a multiplier on top of content throughout your maps, amplifying expeditions or whatever, any kind of monster in the map, it's pretty awesome. Divination cards seem very likely to be added in this patch. They have been a recent reward for some of the races. They've been a reward for some other things as well. So divination cards, bet on those being in the coming patch. Vaal skill gems also, with this being Fate of the Vaal, like, come on, man. Of course, Vaal skill gems are going to be in the game. They're one of the most fun parts of, like, the core PoE 1 design. They're definitely going to happen. Probably going to get Vaal Lightning Arrow, and it's going to be Lightning Arrow all over again, but, you know, whatever. Similarly, we're pretty confident that Atziri is going to be the new Pinnacle boss, or one of them, and we'll see her make that transition from being a human woman into a gigantic red demon. Okay, this one's just straight up like wish casting. Expedition, like getting some actual loot out of this as a mechanic. It's so interesting because some of the best strategy like videos that we've put out have been how to like very cheaply make some currency out of expedition logbooks, specific ones, but just expedition in maps on its own feels so anemic and so weak, and like the currency that you get from expedition is only useful for recombining bases together to do crafting projects or to sell to other people. And just thinking about my own making currency last league, I think I made more currency just slamming items together and crafting them up than I did any other source of making divines last league. Alright, the next one here is kind of a prediction, and that would be like secondary content. So we're talking like rogue exiles, essences to some extent, wisps, strong boxes, you know, all those kinds of things. We're kind of speculating those are all going to get another buff because every single one of those things could use another buff. Essences are a really strong crafting mechanic, but as a mapping mechanic, they're kind of mid. And we're kind of expecting that like strong boxes and rogue exiles are still going to suck, right? Even after another buff, it'll be like a 2% buff to something that needs like a 7,000% buff. Hopefully we're wrong. We're actually hoping to be wrong on this one, but you know, we'll see it. We'll see. Then the next one, this is just like pure wish casting. Map mod effect just nuked from the Atlas passive tree, and maybe that kind of folds in with like, you know, the Atlas passive tree being expanded up here, but like map mod effect as a mechanic, as an idea, so this unstable energy is maybe being the only remaining vestige of map mod effect existing at all. I think that would be a really big improvement for the state of the Atlas passive tree. Now, obviously, they'd have to add in other stuff to compensate for that. There would have to be other interesting stuff, not just like quantity and rarity. Probably just taking these four different league mechanics and Abyss and merging them into the passive tree, and then there you go. Now you don't need quant and map mod effect. You have different league mechanics you can, you know, make your way into enhancing. All right, Shield Ground. This is something that I know people want to see nerfed, and personally, I think for both of us actually, we don't want to see it nerfed because it's like a huge advantage for Pathfinder to just be completely immune to it. So we're predicting, we are betting on the idea that Shield Ground is not going to be nerfed. It's going to be untouched, and that's actually Pathfinder stocks, especially if Deadeye nerfs or lightning damage nerfs do happen. That's a huge buff for Pathfinder. Map bosses, probably of any content in PoE 2, need to be nerfed the most. Like, if you have the full tree unlocked, if you're all the way up top, map bosses are absolutely insane. Like, fully juiced up map bosses with Delirium on the map are probably harder than most of the Pinnacle bosses at, like, rank 2 or whatever, and they definitely need to be nerfed quite a lot. One portal mapping also needs to go. Ideally, they do that in conjunction with Deli Fog and some of these other things, so like the Atlas passive tree, but like that is probably the biggest piece of friction and frustration with the current state of the end game, is not just simply that it's unrewarding or that it's challenging, but that it's also incredibly punishing in the form of you're doing a 6-mod map because you want as much stuff as possible to drop. Oops, you died to a mechanic you couldn't see. Now you have to do that map and get no reward from it. You're mad. Everybody feels that way, and this is the reason why, and it just needs to be like taken out back and put down. And then finally, the thing that has killed me in the campaign more than everything else combined, being stunned by being hit one time for 1 damage while sprinting. If that stun could be reduced, or have sort of a stun fill up bar or something, or even just be slightly less punishing, slightly less of a penalty, that would be nice. I'm not counting on it. This is the least likely thing of the whole grid of 25 things that could happen to actually occur, but Boy, wouldn't that be nice, right? To not get stunned every single time anything looks at you while you're sprinting. Alright, so in honor of Thanksgiving and eating some amazing apple pie, we've got a question for you here to cap things off. What is your favorite dessert? No wrong answers, obviously, but yeah, let us know. We both got a sweet tooth. Alright, that's it. Be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and join the Skipping Sleep Studio Discord and become part of our community. And finally, thank you to all of our channel members. If you want to support us and help us make more PoE content, consider becoming a channel member. Thanks for watching. Bye.